Morning to class 7th. Here is Kaushalya Rajpurohit, your English teacher, and today we are going to discuss Unit 4, Section B, the Lama. This chapter is an extract from a book written by Deepa Agarwal, Karwa to Tibet. Deepa Agarwal is an author, poet, and translator. She has written over 50 books in English and Hindi for children. Her most popular book is Karwa to Tibet, right? So, the Lama chapter is taken from a book written by Deepa Agarwal, which is Karma to Tibet. So, before starting the chapter, right, let us discuss about the main characters of this chapter, right? So, this is an extract from the book, and hence, in order to understand the chapter properly, we need to know about the background of all the characters. Now, Kalyan Singh. Kalyan Singh is one of the head of Karma, right? Karma is a group of traders which go to Tibet for trading, right? And Kalyan Singh is the head. Debu, Debu is a 14-year-old boy, right? And he has lost his father, right, in one of such karwa, and now this time he want to go to Tibet with the other people so that he might search his father. He lives with her mother and a younger brother, Hayat. Sonam Darka is a Tibetan. Hayat is Debu's younger brother, and Trilok Singh is Debu's stepfather, right? Uh, as we know that Debu has already lost his father, right? So his mother has remarried with Trilok Singh. So now Trilok Singh is Debu's father, but he is his stepfather. Now, the story starts with Lama, with the description of monastery. You can see in the picture there is a monastery. The monastery was a cluster of buildings surrounded by a wall, clinging to the slope of hills. As you can see that there there is a cluster. That means there are too many buildings, right? And they are surrounded by a wall, and they are clinging to the slope of hill. Built of sun-dried bricks, the end of its wooden roofs turn upwards, right? So you can see the roof of monastery, right? They are turned upwards. Two fierce-looking statues of lion guarded the gate. Debu entered with mingled hope and curiosity. Now here, Debu and other people have already went to Tibet, and today they have visited a monastery. Debu is curious about the monastery, right? And he also wanted to know about his father, right? And as he sees monastery for the first time, he sees that there is a cluster of buildings, right, clinging to the slope of mountains, built of sun-dried bricks, and ends of its wooden roofs turn upwards, right? So this is what he have noticed. Now there are two dangerous statues of lion which are guarding the gates, and now Debu entered with a mingled, that is mixed feeling. He has hope that he might know something about his father, and curiosity about knowing the new place. We always pay our respect to Lambas, Kalyan Singh whispered. Now, Kalyan Singh, who is the head of Karwa, right? He whispered to other people that they always respect uh, the Lamas, right? They are extremely powerful. We take care not to displease them. Now, Kalyan Singh is guiding the people with him, right? He's saying that we respect Lambas and we always take care that we do not displease them. But Debu was busy taking in new sights. But Debu was taking in, that is, he was looking at the new sights because he had never visited a monastery in his life. The monastery was unlike any place of worship he had ever seen before, right? As he was Indian, right? And he has never visited a monastery. So it was a place of worship, but it was somewhat different. The prayer cylinders, as you can see in the picture, right? These are the prayer cylinders. The flags and the yak tails were placed here and there. They walked down the courtyard into the veranda with large cloth frill running around the roof, right? So there was a large cloth frill running around the roof. It had red pillars and an orange prayer wheel taller than Debu himself, right? As you can see in the last picture, this is an orange prayer wheel which was taller than Debu. Sonu spun it. Now Sonu is that Sonam, right? He is a Tibetan. Folded his hand, raised them to his head, and prostrated himself on the ground, right? As you can see in the temples, right? Some of the people they lie down towards the god, right? So even Sonu has down, folding his hands and raised his head. They followed the suite and then entered through a multicolored door with bright strips of cloth hung over it. And then they followed, they did as everyone did, and then they entered through a multicolored door with bright strips of cloth hung over it. The scent of burning essence and butter lamps was same as in the temples back home, right? So the scent which was there was similar to the scent and essence which Debu has already experienced in his temples. He could hear a regular droning sound coming from inside along with the sound of gongs, right? So there were different sounds he can hear from that room, right? Now here the picture of the gong, you can see this is the gong, right? So he can hear the sound of gongs. It's the monks chanting their prayers, Sonam Darka said, right? So monks, right, they were chanting their prayers as Sonam Darka explained everyone. Debu entered the dark audience chamber hesitantly, overawed by the presence of shaven-headed monks in yellow robes, the darkly gleaming image lit by the rows and the rows of the lamps. Debu entered the dark audience room. He was hesitant, right? But he was overawed, right? He was very much impressed that can't even to express it by the presence of the lamas, right? Their head was shaved and they were wearing yellow robes. All the merciful Buddha was seated in the center surrounded by other deities, right? So as you can see in the picture, right, there is a statue of Buddha and all others are surrounding that statue. She had many arms like Hindu goddess. One of them captured Debu's gaze, and there were many statues, and one of them captured Debu's, you can say, sight, right? She had many arms like a Hindu goddess Kali and was slaying a demon, right? So the statue was similar to Hindu goddess Kali. There were hand bells too, like the ones they used to. Eyes rose to the walls painted with the scenes from Buddha's life. Then his thought pulled his back, right? So Debu's eyes were rose by the walls painted with the scene from Buddha's life, but his thought pulled. He thought of his father and he thought to ask Lamba about his father. Could he dare to ask Lamba about his father? Suddenly he felt cold. He felt nervous. Why? His father had told him that they always offered gifts to the Lamas and he hadn't brought anything. Suppose the Lama felt slighted, got annoyed, Debu tried to fall back and disappeared in the group. Now Debu felt nervous because his father has already told him once that they always offered gifts to Lamba, but he has not brought anything, and he thought that Lamba may get annoyed by this thing, and hence he disappeared in group. Come forward, Kalyan Singh whispered, tugging at his elbow. See, that's him, the head of Lamba of this monastery. And Kalyan Singh called him out and showed him the head of the monastery. Debu looked nervously. He blinked in surprise. The yellow-clad figure seated on the gilded throne was a boy, and he was surprised that the head of the monks was a boy, a small boy. a boy even younger than he was, maybe as old as Hayat. Now, Hayat is his younger brother, with a round, chubby face. A tall man wearing silk robe stood near him, and there was a man who was wearing a silk robe was standing near him. Right? So he was the head of the monks, and our boy Debu was surprised, right? So we will be seeing whether Debu was able to find his father, whether he was able to ask about his father, right? We'll be seeing this in the next video, right? So the chapter will be continued. Thank you.